Distractions are everywhere, from the constant ping of notifications to the endless scroll of social media. An otherwise well-intentioned segment of the day for productive work suddenly evaporates. But why are distractions so prevalent in our lives? I'll be showing you how distractions steal our focus and sabotage our strength, and show you how you can take back control of your life and live with intention again. I've been a sports fan for a while, and even though here at 18 years old I've worked to shift my focus away from things like that and focus on things that move the needle in the direction I want in order to improve my life, I still like to enjoy watching sports from time to time, one of the most of which being college football. And after a nice slate of Week 8 games, I didn't necessarily watch the games in their entirety, but 12 o'clock window had some exciting finishes. So did the 3:30 window, and the 7:30 window had Georgia versus Texas as a top 5 matchup. I thought today on Sunday evening I would, watch a podcast, one of the best college football podcasts out there. I guess put a bow on what we all watched in the college football slate over this weekend. But then as I thought about it more and more, and as the time for the podcast to go live drew near, I was thinking to myself, why? Why? The only reason I asked why is because I had a pretty good understanding of what happened. But my mindset going into what I thought was going to be an evening spent listening to the podcast for about an hour was that, just tie it all up and what I watched this weekend, just culminate that, and thought that would be good. But then I thought to myself, I already know what happened. You kind of get to look at the bottom ticker of ESPN or ABC and see the stuff that goes on. Indiana's 7-0 for the first time in 30 some odd years. I got all that information, so I know what happened. So why do I want to spend an extra hour more than I did already on Saturday just confirming all that? I mean, it's entertaining for one, and I think that was the biggest reason pulling me towards it, but I know what happened. My mind went back to a meme from a tweet that I saw. I don't know whether I saw the tweet first or the meme first, but I think it was a tweet in the form of a meme where you just see those random online images on some other form. And the tweet was from a lady who said that men will, for a sports game, men will watch several days worth of pregame lead up to the event, the game, the match, the whatever. On the day of, watch pregame shows for that game, look for all the behind the scenes or all access things of that game. They will watch the actual game, they will watch the halftime analysis of that game, and they'll watch the post-game reactions for that game, and then they'll watch more Monday morning reactions to that same game. Not even just for Monday, but for Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday after the game. So I've seen that tweet, I think, multiple times as a meme, and I thought it was pretty funny and true. We don't have cable, so I'm not able to, look at all the NFL Network stuff leading up to a Super Bowl or NBA TV coverage, whip around coverage for the entirety of the NBA Finals. So I never got that deep into it. But I was reminded of that tweet today. By the Lord, maybe by myself, I don't know, but probably by the Lord, because he looks out for me, and I appreciate him for that. And as I thought about that tweet, I'm like, yeah, I may not have done all the pregame stuff and listened to the first takes and the Undisputeds, no longer Undisputed, unfortunately, but the Undisputeds and the First Things First and the first takes of the world. But I was certainly planning on doing a post game of it, or post, Week 8 recap. And yeah, listen, I already know what happened. I already saw the results. The AP poll already came out. Let me just move on. So distractions really do rule our lives. They really do rule our lives. And it's difficult when you're working to be in a transition phase of a place where distractions are the norm, distractions are common, and distractions are easy to feed into, to a place where that's the opposite. And distractions, you're working to make them a thing that is not easy to succumb to, and that it's not easy to fall into that distraction cycle. So the first video I made on this channel was about Myron Golden, one of the best teachers I've found about things, business, and especially from a biblical perspective. That's what makes him even better. So I attended his challenge, and he actually told me to start making community service content. So this is my form of serving you guys, the community. So be sure to subscribe if you're new here, or if you haven't already subscribed. But on that note, he has many very great quotes, but a quote that I've heard from him before, but that struck me in a different way, was rich people focus on intention more than distraction. Poor people focus on distraction more than intention. And it somehow clicked in a new way for me this weekend, because I thought, I talk all this about to myself, and I think all this, and I meditate on all this stuff about don't get distracted. You want to change your life. Like, you have all these desires to be in a better position in life and improve yourself, improve the quality of your life, and eventually become the person who does all these things you want to do, to have all these things you want to have. But you're going to succumb to this one little distraction. What if indeed that 1 hour of listening to that podcast, which is a great podcast, and I have nothing against anybody who consumes it, because I used to regularly, like for like a month or two when college football was at its peak last season. But again, I kind of commit to myself, like, hey, don't you want to do all this? Hey, don't you want to be this type of guy, to have this type of stuff that you want to have? You gotta walk that walk. And I was thinking, distractions really do delay your destiny, and they can ruin your life, and it is very hard to get out of them, especially when you're in a culture, whether it's a one-person culture or whether it's a culture that is encouraged at your school, your work, or whatever, that permits distraction. And for me, that's kind of been a one-person culture that I've been trying to break. I think I succumbed to a lot of distractions in my final year of high school that almost sent my grades into a place where I didn't want them to be, because they were already in a bad place that I did not want them to be, and for my standard was not good. But I fear that I became too familiar with distractions and too passive about dealing with them head on, that by the time you look up, it's a few months to graduation and you're already this low grade wise. Nothing completely catastrophic and diploma revoking, but it wasn't good, and I had to fix that. And I allowed the first several months of the year to make for a very challenging back end. I was really bad in the first 3 quarters of the game, that I had to force myself to make a 26-point comeback in the 4th quarter, or whatever the basketball equivalent of that is. So yeah, distractions can really be bad if you don't nip them at the bud and deal with them. So I encourage you all, just self-evaluate, and as I talked about in my last video, just create habit systems. You don't need to necessarily create an aggressive plan to eliminate distractions, but rather maybe the opposite of positive habit systems, where you're working towards something you want. How about you work towards something you don't want? You don't want distractions in your life. You can work to create a system where at certain parts of the day that you feel that you maybe go on Instagram too much, you can instead set a downtime on iPhone and say, maybe I go on Instagram a lot from 3 o'clock to 3:15 after I get off this XYZ thing. I'm going to set a downtime on my iPhone from 3 o'clock to 3:15 that doesn't allow me to use the phone, and instead allows me to refresh and relax for 15 minutes. So the opposite of priming your environment for things you do want to do is just priming your environment in a way that takes away things you don't want to do. So go watch that video if you haven't already. In the last video, I gave you 3 S's on how to best integrate habit systems into your life. So I'm going to give you 3 S's on what distractions do in a negative way to your life. But all of these will be based on a foundation of how inconsistent your life becomes when distractions are a massive part of it. And the first is that distractions steal satisfaction. Satisfaction comes from those daily habits that you successfully do, that you successfully incorporate in your life. And as you watch the progress slowly build, as you watch it slowly get better and better and better to a point where it's just 1% better every day. But as I've said, that progress compounds into something so much bigger by the time you're even 2 months ahead, half a year ahead, because of course, all of what we're seeking after is a marathon and not a sprint. Although chasing is not a bad thing. I guess if you're going aggressively at it, then you're going to get it faster. But it steals your satisfaction. Does a distraction. Distractions steal your satisfaction in a way that you're not able to see those little gains. Of course, we're not able to see the large gain when everything happens all at once after a period of nothing happening all the time. But even those little marks of progress that you're making, oh, I've already worked out for 7 days in a row, or I've kept a good schedule of going to sleep right on time for 3 weeks in a row. Those satisfactory things are stolen from you. And for me, that was definitely stolen when I was unable to see or start out my final year of high school with consistent progress upward. Of course, I would love to start in the high 90s and build towards the maximum of 100, but instead it was just opposite. It was just going down and going down and going down, especially in the classes that I needed the most work. Those were suffering the most because I was succumbing to distractions so easily. And that robbed me, or that stole satisfaction from me, whereas I could have been seeing, oh, I'm getting better at this concept and it's translating to my grade. I'm getting better at understanding how to solve this, and it's translating to a better grade and an increase every 1 or 2 weeks. So distractions really steal your satisfaction, and steal satisfaction that could have been gained by instead implementing positive habits and habit systems in your life. But those are taken away. The consistency of those is taken away when you don't allow yourself to stay disciplined and instead succumb to distractions. And why are you unable to experience the satisfaction of habit building each and every day and each and every week? Because of the second S in how distractions shatter stability. You need stability in order to be consistent. You need stability for consistency, and you need stability to consistently build a habit and to actually see that progress from which you can draw satisfaction in seeing the progress that you've made as time goes on. Stability is key because at least you're building a track record for yourself and building discipline and being able to say to yourself, today I showed up, today I showed up, today I showed up. And all of a sudden you're building stability across a 5-day week or a 7-day week, and you're building upon that. You can say at the end of week 2, I showed up for 2 weeks in a row. That is stability, and that allows you to have satisfaction and celebrate those small wins that you get each and every time you build upon a habit, and cut out distractions. But instead, distractions take away from that stability. They shatter stability, as I said, instead of trying to improve your life by watching a good uplifting video like this one, or whoever you connect with closest on the YouTube sphere. You're instead watching something on the entertainment side that is pretty funny and is pretty good, or maybe sports like me or something. But instead you could have spent those 30 minutes where you watch those 2 videos doing something much more productive and that moves the needle more in your favor than it does away from it. So distractions really shatter stability, and again, all of this lies upon the bed of consistency. Consistency is the foundation, and distractions take away from all that. But you need stability in order to build those good habits, in order to eliminate distractions. But again, you got to build that muscle. It's like working a muscle. I worked it out in my last year of school, and I'm still working it out. As I told you at the beginning of the video, trying to work out sports in a great sense, in a distraction sense. And it's definitely something that you shouldn't beat yourself up about when you fail, but instead write down when that happens. Write down, man, I was building stability towards this thing and now I'm stuck. Man, I was building stability towards improving my grades, but I got distracted again and cut myself short of a lot of time that I could have used studying for this big test, and now I'm not sure it's going to go the way I wanted. I felt that feeling for sure, so you're not alone in that. So make sure that you're building stability and cutting out distractions, because they definitely shatter stability. The third S is that distractions sabotage your strength. Distractions take away from your precious mental and emotional energy that could be stored up or resting or used right now in that same place you're using it on a distraction, that could be used towards the thing that moves the needle in your favor or improves your life in the area you want it to improve. And momentum is a real thing. It may not be just one short stint working on something, but momentum is carried out in days, and building strength from, let's say, a Monday that you really do a good job of working on a task. For example, maybe editing a video that you have to send to a client, or exercising, or whatever it may be. For me, that could be, last year working working tirelessly, but really hungrily and steadfastly on a school project that is really big and time consuming, maybe a 25-page essay or something at the end of the school year, at the end of your high school tenure. Building that momentum, working on it well on Monday, carries over into Tuesday, builds momentum for Wednesday, and even more momentum for Thursday. And imagine ending the week with such a supercharged momentum on Friday, all because you said no to distractions on Monday. That's the type of strength that is sabotaged by distractions. Again, momentum is a real thing. So you just have to think about it from a perspective of, what do I want to give power? Or what part of me do I want to use my power on? Do I want to use my power and sap out potential energy, mental, emotional, or maybe physical, if depending on your line of work, that could be used towards things that positively impact me? Or am I going to succumb to distractions and have less left after I get distracted or get done with my distraction, and have less left to give to the things that matter to me the most, to the things that I want to do, to the things that I have 5-year or 3 or even 1-year goals for, that require little habitual actions today that I need to do today in order to build momentum that lasts not just until the end of the week on Friday, but because I see myself, I showed up on Monday, I showed up on Tuesday, I showed up on Wednesday, I'm building strength, I'm building mental strength, I showed up on Thursday and Friday, I showed up for a whole work week, and now I show up on Monday better than last Monday, because even though more distractions may show up, I still am carrying the strength from the last Monday that I said no to those little distractions and carried it over all the way till the end of the work week. And now this work week is going to be even better than the last one. That's the type of strength you need in order to become the person who does the things that has the life that you want to have. I know I'm going through that journey myself, but together we cannot let distractions sabotage that strength from us, because it's powerful and it's mostly mental, what I'm talking about. And you have power, 100% of it, over your own mind. You have the most influence possible over your own mind. So don't let your mind weaken to a point where it's swayed by other people. Let it positively impact you. Let it impact you in a way that it gives you perspective on things to do. It gives you options, and it shows you a door you can enter, but only you can enter that door. Don't let someone drag you through that door without your own autonomy. And that's how distractions sabotage your strength. Even as I've shared some of my experiences, be sure to share yours as well in the comments below, as well as which one of those things, distractions, due to all of us, stood out to you the most. And be sure to like the video as well. So subscribe to the channel and follow me on Instagram with the username in the description. I'll see you in the next video.